I was just talking about marketing a few videos ago, and I think that theme is going to continue. One reason I think Cyberpunk 2077 is successful, regardless of their rocky launch, is because CD Projekt Red is very adept at keeping marketing as a primary driver for their games. They need to sell these games because as they're working on other games, they're going to need cash infusion. So if they're able to maybe even do 1 million units of this game every year, they are going to be in a really decent spot. Not saying it will solve all their money problems, but it will solve 1 million copies worth of their money problems. And this announcement is interesting because apparently Cyberpunk 2077 is going to Mac. This game is on every single platform as we speak, in one form or the other. It's wild. Cyberpunk 2077 was on Stadia before it actually went out of business. I don't know if many of you know. It is on Luna. It is on Xbox. It is on PC via Steam. It is on their store, Good Old Games. It's not on Xbox PC. It is on PlayStation. Now, it's on Nintendo Switch 2. Now it's going over to Mac. Buckle up, Mac Chooms, because we've got news you've been waiting for. You'll be chipping into the dark future 52 years early when the Mac version of Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition drops July 17th, 2025. Notice, they don't go around whining about Game Pass and how it's bad for the industry. They go around charting their own course in the gaming industry. If the Lord were to permit me and bless me with my own game and the project is complete, y'all wouldn't hear the end of it. Just letting you know. I would be like, oh yeah, by the way, check out my game and link in the description. Like, I would just constantly have to, because these guys have already shown the way. They show you the way of how to make your game quite successful. And honestly, it's something that you may think is a small thing. Like this first very ignorant comment says, nobody cares about Mac, meh. Well, you're the one that doesn't care about Mac because, you didn't spend hundreds of millions of dollars and years and the Polish government's money trying to make this game. I mean, it's insane when people say stuff like that because their understanding is actually, in my opinion, very quite minimal. A lot of small-minded thinking out here, and that's not working. You got to look at the big picture. What is the motivation for these developers to continue to market, talk about, develop, show this game, use the game as a standard and a benchmark in, their assessment? One crazy thing that I've noticed is, think about a game like Cyberpunk 2077 in terms of visuals. Then think about a game, like Avatar Frontiers of Pandora in terms of visuals. I believe that a game, if you were looking at, say, maybe PC benchmarks, right? Okay, we want to run 2 PC benchmarks in all of the stuff. I think a game like Avatar Frontiers of Pandora would probably make a solid case for, an open world benchmark standard that is used by a lot of the companies like NVIDIA and AMD and Intel when they're doing all of these, their releases. However, the one game that they almost always default to is Cyberpunk 2077. They're launching a new CPU, and they list all their games. They're like, and in Cyberpunk 2077, constantly the game continues to get mentioned. The game continues to get mentioned. And the game has been worked on over time. Technologies have been added to it. The game has been brought up to light and up to speed with all kinds of new, things added to them. A lot of developers usually don't see this as a benefit for them, right? Allocating resources to go back to adding new technologies to old games. However, these guys seem to have cracked the code because where you are not putting in the effort to improve your old game and sell more copies of it, we're going to be doing that. And that's where CD Projekt Red, and now is one of the most valuable companies in Europe. CDPR, I just saw a thing. Where is it at? CD Projekt Red has become one of the most valuable companies in Europe, particularly within the video game industry, due to anticipation surrounding the upcoming release of The Witcher 4. That's one piece of it. If you notice, they went ahead and made a demo. These guys know, I'm telling you, these guys look at their IPs and they're like, we won't shut up about it. And I'm almost certain that given within the next year or few months, they're going to come out with another Witcher 4 thing and say, hey, look at this combat, yada, 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 that we did. And believe you me, you can hire 2 people to make you a decent combat system in the professional gaming industry, especially when you already have a combat system from your first Witcher game and you want to go ahead and implement that. I mean, obviously, even the folk from Rebel Wolves that left CD Projekt Red to go make their game, the Dawn Walker game, even their game actually seems, super solid with the medieval combat and the mechanics that they're putting in it. So you have 2 guys that are adept. You pay them and say, hey, man, I need both of you to sit here and crank out, a combat system within a week. Give me a, prototype. What do you need? We need an animator for animations. Don't worry. Our animator guy, during his lunch break, can probably, go to his folder of goodies and give you an entire animation system. It doesn't even need to do anything. And they can come out with something very decent because these guys are pros. The people that work in these, in these companies are actually the cream of the crop in terms of their talent. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, look at what we did. We did a stealth, blah, blah, blah. But this is not the game. And you're going to be like, then what is the game? That's how they put and implant their product, especially the product idea, into potential buying customers. That makes it so much fun for them as developers to go ahead and get something going. If by now, especially when I look at the indie developers, right? I look at their work and I look at what it is that they're doing and I say to myself, if by now these guys and these cats and these guys and gals aren't aware of the methodology to basically go ahead and make these video games, be successful, whether by fire, by force, push the darn thing, then, I think a lot of the conversation about the gaming industry being cooked is probably stemming from, maybe, I don't know, lack of interest in maybe what is required of a developer, which is to market their game, or just, I don't know, ignorance about how this thing can work, or laziness in pushing their titles. Or maybe they're just, already inundated with other tasks and all that stuff, and they probably don't necessarily care. But I can't overemphasize how I've been watching, CD Projekt Red's marketing all these years, and it's just straight brilliant. Like, it's just probably one of the most, brilliant things I've ever seen, as, we've been talking about gaming all this while. It's insane that anybody would think that this is a small, thing, that putting more money into your game or finding, ways to get your game out there is a tiny little thing. No, this is, in my opinion, a very solid place to start, especially when it is that the gaming industry is getting saturated and people are always constantly playing, these so-called live service games. Every given time, it's one more live service game. Every given time, it's another live service game. In that kind of an environment, you really need a standout methodology to basically go ahead and get your game successful. And if developers right now are not, taking the time and not putting in the effort, I don't know exactly how else they expect to make it in this gaming industry. It's a wild one out here. It's a wild one. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. And hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.